News Desk at the Columbus Dispatch presents the BuckeyeXtra Basketball Podcast. With your host, Ohio State basketball beat writer Adam Jardy.
Brandon Machine says, "Give me the rock." Here it goes. Up and away. Slam jam bam. And now he does a little dance.
Now, the BuckeyeXtra Basketball Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Adam Jardy from the Columbus Dispatch. Today is Sunday, February 22nd, 2026, and it's my official duty to welcome you into episode 535 of the BuckeyeXtra Men's Basketball Podcast. Welcome to Jubilation City, or something like that. Welcome to the Breslin Center. Welcome to what was almost Jubilation City for Ohio State. What a day. What a game. There's a lot to try to process and make our way through here. Start with the basics. Final score, number 15, Michigan State 66, Ohio State 60. The Buckeyes led the Spartans for 17 minutes and 36 seconds and held a first half lead, a lead at halftime. We're in a tie game at essentially the midpoint of the second half. And then to me, the difference became Michigan State's rebounding and Ohio State's inability to make a three-pointer, and a shorthanded Ohio State team, honestly, as objectively as you can look at this, tests every single one of the limits of the phrase moral victory. Because certainly at this point of the season, this was a win that would have done massive things for Ohio State's NCAA tournament resume, just like any of the other 8 quad one opportunities that the Buckeyes have been unable to take advantage of this season. And this is, as we have well established over the years, a incredibly difficult place to win. Ohio State 6-22 all time in this arena when it walked in today. One of those wins being its last time here when Dale Bonner hit a three-pointer with 0.2 seconds left to lead the Buckeyes past the Spartans as Jake Diebler was interim coach. Factor in all those things, then add in John Mobley Jr. missing his third straight game with a hand injury. He'll be back real soon. Devin Royal coming down with an illness, being unable to play, and Amari Bynum coming back from an illness, but clearly not being himself. Take all that stuff, throw it in a blender, and Ohio State very still nearly came out of here with this win. It did not go sideways until the final minutes, and even then Ohio State had a late run, and it's a tough one to really kind of wrap our arms around and decide. Like, I know I've consistently said throughout the season that, like, however you feel about this team and the direction of things, like, you're entitled to kind of feel however you feel. I thought we saw a lot of all the things you want to see in a team aside from a win. And maybe that still brings us back to the crux of all of this. But my goodness, did Ohio State battle and scrap and claw and fight and all those things, and it just could not make enough shots. And then for too long of a stretch in the second half, it couldn't get a rebound, and that proved to be the difference. And this is a tough one to kind of, like I said, really kind of encapsulate what we saw out here. So I'm going to do my best. I apologize for any of the noise you hear behind me, but they are clearing and cleaning the arena, and I'm out here in a suite. So wanted to get this recorded before I hit the road and drive back to Columbus. Let's dive into this, but I guess first let me remind everyone you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you enjoy your favorite podcasts. If you subscribe, you automatically get the newest ones just as soon as our man Patrick Flaherty, the Podfather, can grab them and publish them for us. While you're subscribing or downloading, please leave a review, please click 5 stars, and please consider telling a friend. Thanks everyone who's taking the time to do all those things. All right, so so much of this stuff is just kind of intertwined. I'm not really sure where to start other than, like, maybe with the news of the day, which was that when we got the availability report at 10 a.m., it listed both Devin Royal and Amari Bynum as questionable. And that was certainly a development, given that both of them played so well against Wisconsin just a couple of days ago in Columbus. So learned that it was due to illness, get to the arena, start watching them warm up, and they looked to be in two different places. Amari was jumping rope. He was bouncy. He looked like himself during warmups. Devin Royal did not. Devin had no bounce. He looked like he was really laboring just to kind of go through warmups. His shot did not look good. He, at one point, as like during the first warm-up period where like it's not really structured, guys are just kind of out taking some shots and getting loose and whatever. And different guys are out there for different lengths of time. But Devin wasn't out there for a whole lot of that. He was out there, but not for a ton of it. And at one point, like, he had to get a Gatorade from the trainer. He went and sat down, and I thought, like, man, he doesn't look good. Like, he just didn't. So then they go back in the locker room. They come back out a little while later, and now they're going through like full on like team warm ups, like drills and stretching and jumping and running and like actually putting like some pace to some things. And it was at that point, this is about 30 odd minutes until the game starts. I was like, he does not look good. Like, that was when I thought to myself, I don't think he's playing tonight. Certainly then he watched the game on the bench, but he didn't look to me as someone who was in the arena watching him go through warmups like someone who was going to be able to play a basketball game. Just didn't. And so that then puts Ohio State in a situation where the Buckeyes are now without their second leading scorer in John Mobley Jr. and their third leading scorer in Devin Royal. You know, how much of this season was built around Royal, Thornton, and Mobley? And now here you are playing on the road against one of the elite defensive teams in the nation in an arena where you basically never win, and you're down two of your three best options. Like, I think I saw Ohio State was a 10.5 point underdog coming into this game. And I know I had mentioned on the last podcast that I thought this game would be closer than maybe some of the numbers might indicate, because Ohio State had played pretty well the last like 2.5 weeks or so, certainly compared to how it had played at earlier points of the season, and statistically had been better than the Spartans for the last 2.5 weeks. And I really thought that this game was going to be closer than maybe the outside perspective might have expected. And so you take that mindset when you wake up this morning and you're getting ready for pregame, doing all the things that I do, and then Devin and Amari are both questionable, and you're thinking like, well, that's significant. You know, if both of them can't play, like, I don't know. I mean, what we ended up seeing was Puff Johnson get his first career start for Ohio State. Still awaiting word on his legal situation. I was expecting it last week based on what the lawyers had told me. I would have presumed that we get something this week, whether that's before or after Ohio State playing at Iowa. We'll see. I apologize for the background noise. They're using a leaf blower to blow some of the trash out, and they've been steadily moving from section 101 to 102 to 100. They're going to be here in about 2 more sections, so it might get loud. It might get louder before it gets quieter, and just the joys of in-arena podcasting. Yeah, they're right next to where I am at the moment. So Puff Johnson gets the start. And we had just talked with Jake Diebler on Friday. I'd asked him a couple of questions about, like, how much can Puff give you? Are you getting more confidence in his abilities, and like whether you can trust him more down the stretch? And, you know, we talked a lot about that, because it seemed to me that there was some stuff that he was still kind of getting accustomed to, that they were still not fully comfortable trusting him in like key situations, just because he hadn't been with the team until mid-January. So Diebler said that they went with Puff to start because that impacted their rotations and substitution patterns the least. They did consider going with like Ivan Yagovin next to Christoph Tilley, but ultimately went with Puff. Puff was on the list of players who struggled to shoot. Puff finished the game 0 of 4 from the floor. He had 2 points, he had a turnover, and he had 4 fouls. He's committing 8.1 fouls per 40 minutes at this point. He's really struggling to stay on the court, which I think speaks to the rust and all the things, the lack of time with the team and all the time that he's been away from the game. I mean, this was Puff's first start since he played. Oh, wow. I should have realized this earlier. This is his first start since he played 6 minutes and was injured in a loss for Penn State right in this arena on January 15th, 2025. So in between, Puff goes more than a year without making a start, and then makes his first start back in this exact same arena. That's kind of wild. I wish I'd have realized that earlier. I would have made note of that at some point. So I mentioned Puff did not shoot well. Ohio State as a team did not shoot well, minus Bruce Thornton. And I think I would be doing us all a disservice if I went any further without talking about what we saw from Bruce Thornton in this game. So Thornton ends the game, plays the entirety. On a night when Ohio State is missing its two of its 3 primary offensive weapons, Bruce Thornton plays all 40 minutes in just an unbelievable. This is a physical game. I mean, there's bodies flying everywhere, like Cohen Carr flying to the floor and bruising his tailbone, it looked like, and a lot of contact around the rim. A lot of what Bruce Thornton plays all 40 minutes. He scores 32 points. More than half of Ohio State's scoring comes from Bruce Thornton. He had 16 in the first half, 16 in the second half, 12 of 22 from the floor. Now, Bruce was only 2 of 8 from 3, but Ohio State as a team was 4 of 22 from 3. And we'll talk about 3-point shooting in a minute. But here, like, these are some of the things that just I'm trying to like kind of wrap my head around when it comes to what Bruce Thornton did in this game. Shorthanded, on the road, top 15 team, elite defense. Statistically, top 5 defense in the country. Let's see, where is Michigan State now? The Spartans, as of this game, are 6th nationally in adjusted defensive efficiency, 2nd in the Big Ten. They are 3rd in defensive 3-point percentage, 2nd in defensive 2-point percentage. So Bruce Thornton, while playing the entirety of the game, not only does he have 32 points, not only does he have 4 rebounds, Bruce Thornton drew 6 fouls in this game, in a game where 38 fouls were committed. He drew 6 of the 17 fouls Michigan State was called for. Bruce Thornton did not commit a foul in 40 minutes of basketball in this kind of game. And this isn't he wasn't physical, he wasn't in the melee. Bruce Thornton battled through 40 minutes of this game without committing a foul. And on top of that, Bruce Thornton had 2 assists in this game. Ohio State had 8 assists on 23 makes. Bruce Thornton did not have a turnover. And when I think about that whole stat line, 32 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 fouls drawn, no fouls committed, no turnovers, plays the entirety of the game, doesn't sit out for a single second. It won't get remembered this way, but that has to be one of the most individually dominant performances in, I don't know, the last 20 years, 30, like how far back do we want to go? Everybody in this arena, and certainly everybody on that Michigan State bench, knew that options like 1, 2, and 3 were Bruce Thornton. And Bruce Thornton still gets 32 without a turnover, with the ball in his hands on seemingly every possession. I thought it was incredibly noteworthy, and it's about to get louder in here, folks. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 leaf blowers that are making their way this way. We're going to do our best, people. We're going to power through this. Tom Izzo talked about Bruce Thornton after the game. So I saw Thornton talking to Izzo pregame on the court. And I asked Bruce, I said, so what did Izzo say to you? Like, what was that conversation? And Bruce said he was just saying thank you. He's very appreciative of my game and me staying at Ohio State for 4 years and saying most people don't do that anymore. I told him thank you. It means a lot, especially a legendary coach like that. I really take that with respect. Izzo was interviewed by Robbie Hummel on CBS after the game, and Robbie asked him about defending Thornton, and he said, I told him before the game it's been a privilege to have him in our league. He's handled himself well. He stayed in the same place. He's been an unbelievable performer. He's got class. I'm a big Bruce Thornton fan, and today he ate us alive, so give him credit for that. He's a plus for this conference. So, problem that Thornton pointed to, we talked to him for about 5 minutes, and the thing that he kept coming back to was Ohio State's inability to make a three-pointer. And Ohio State goes 4 of 22, and I mentioned that the Spartans are one of the best in the defense in the Big Ten in three-point defense. These were good looks. These were looks Ohio State should make, and it's wild that this is the worst three-point shooting game of the season for Ohio State. But at the same time, it was the 3rd worst 2-point defensive shooting performance allowed by Michigan State this season, and the worst it allowed in the Big Ten. No Big Ten team was better from 2 against the Spartans this season than Ohio State, and yet the Buckeyes lost by 6. Because they went 4 of 22 from 3 and 10 of 17 from the line. I'm going to pause, collect my thoughts, and let this legion of leaf blowers make its way past. So this is not unbearable audio. So I will take a quick break. I'm going to come right back, and we're going to finish this podcast. All right, people, we're back. So, like I said, just a sequence of, a cascade of missed 3-point opportunities and some critical missed free throws that ultimately would make a significant difference in a game that Ohio State loses by 6. And you look like Tayson Chapman came into this game shooting 53.1% from 3 this season. Certainly those numbers have all climbed significantly here since he started getting consistent playing time. But Tayson was 1 for 5 in this game. He finished 2 of 8 from the floor. He did have 3 rebounds. He had, not that it's fair to expect someone to go 4 for 5 or even honestly 2 for 5, but I liked his looks, and they're the type of shots that he's gotten consistently that have gone down in the last couple of weeks. They didn't fall in this one. So he goes 1 for 5. Puff Johnson was 0 of 3 from 3, and at least 2 of them were wide open, in rhythm. Like, I thought for sure when he let it go, they were good, and they weren't. Amari Bynum was 3 or 4 from 3 in each of the last 2 games. He was 0 of 2 in this game. Amari was clearly not himself, even though he looked more bouncy and ready during pregame. But he didn't score. Add this to the list of things that make Bruce Thornton's night all the more ridiculous when you really think about it. But Amari Bynum was 0 of 5 from the floor, 0 of 2 from 3. He had 2 rebounds, played 28 minutes and 58 seconds, and gave Ohio State what he could, but clearly was not himself. He didn't practice on Friday because he was too sick. I believe Devin Royal did practice, but then wasn't able to play. So go figure. I thought Ivan Yagovin gave them a little bit. He had 6 points, 3 rebounds. He was 2 of 2 from the line. At one point, Ohio State was 1 of 6 from the line, where Colin White got fouled and he missed 2, and then Tilly got fouled and he missed 2. Tilly had another one of those nights where I think, much like this team, however you feel about Tilly and his season, this doesn't change any of it. But he had 10 and 8. He was 5 of 6 from the floor. Didn't take a 3. He was 0 of 3 from the line. How big would those 3 have been? And he's a good free throw shooter. That's a surprising 0 of 3. He had a miss. They had a play to close the first half. I thought, what a really well executed play. Ohio State was up 26-23, and they called timeout with 8 seconds left, and they ran a play. They got Tilly the ball basically right at the rim, and Michigan State's size bothered him. He ended up kind of fading away, and his one miss of the game, it was an air ball on a play that they had executed perfectly. They got it to him at the rim, at the buzzer, probably thinking either you're going to get a foul or you're going to score, and instead he airballed it. Rough moment. Certainly for him. But then they did talk about him. He had 8 defensive rebounds in a game where Michigan State had 15 offensive rebounds. So the Spartans missed 33 shots, and they got 15 of them back. Christoph Tilly got 8 of the other 18 in that. Not bad. I thought he played with more aggression at times in this game, but he finishes with 10. If he'd have had 13 or 15, it could have been a different story. And then add to all this the fact that Ohio State, so this is where it goes sideways for the Buckeyes down the stretch, where it is 45-45 with about 10 minutes to go. And at this point, Michigan State got, I believe, 11 of the next 12 rebounds. And this is part of a sequence where the Spartans scored on 6 straight possessions to take a 53-49 lead. Ohio State struggled offensively here, and this is what I have in my play-by-play. So it's 51-47 after Michigan State comes up with an offensive rebound, and Jordan Scott scores on the offensive rebound to push it back to 4. Well, Thornton scores on a jumper from the left elbow. Ohio State's back within 2. And then Carson Cooper hits a jumper to push it back to 4. Ohio State comes down and gets a great look for Tayson Chapman in the right corner, and he misses. Michigan State comes down, and Cooper with a miss, but he gets his own miss, misses again. Ohio State gets the ball back, and they get the ball to Puff Johnson in the left corner. And I have in my notes, wide open, misses it. That was the sequence right there where both of those shots, one of those shots go in, it's a 1-point game. Both of them go in, it's a 2-point, or it's a 2-point lead for Ohio State. I felt like that was a critical sequence where it just underlined the fact that they couldn't get a 3-pointer to fall. They were generating good looks. The shots weren't falling. So with 4:51 to go, Tilly commits a foul on Jeremy Fears, who finished with 11 and 8, also 4 turnovers. I thought Ohio State did a pretty solid job of just kind of taking him out of things. So he hits 2 free throws, 4:51 to go. Ohio State's down 6. Thornton draws a foul 10 seconds later. He hits 2 free throws. Ohio State's down 4. Michigan State gets the ball to Jordan Scott, and he gets into the lane and throws this nice left-handed kind of wraparound pass that gets to Cooper, who catches it in stride. He scores. It's back to 6. And then Colin White, who did hit a 3 in this game, by the way, his first 3-pointer of the season. He gets a very good look in the left corner that doesn't fall. And that's a shot that is in his repertoire. Again, so it's another good 3-point look that Ohio State isn't able to capitalize on. Michigan State comes down and scores. Jackson Kohler scores. Ohio State's down 8. Ohio State calls timeout with 3:36 to go. Thornton misses a 3. Jordan Scott scores on a jumper. It's a 10-point deficit. And at that point, it was too much. Now, Ohio State did rally late, and the Buckeyes got it to 3 with about 15 odd seconds left, and nearly came up with they made it difficult for the Spartans to inbound the ball, and ultimately it wasn't enough. Michigan State hit some free throws, and the Buckeyes come up short. But again, like, they were down 10 and they cut it to 3 in the last minute 15. I mean, I watched people that were literally walking up the steps, stop and just sit wherever they found a seat, because suddenly it was back in doubt. It sort of underlines this point of there are no moral victories, but this sure felt in some ways like a moral victory. And that's ultimately, at the end of the day, it's not enough. And that's what this goes down as. I mean, Ohio State's 17-10, 9-7 in the Big Ten, comes up short in the latest quad one opportunity. Now, Northwestern continues to climb somehow, and the Wildcats were 78th in the net. If they get to 75th, then that win at Northwestern becomes a quad one win. So I think Ohio State fans would be well advised to root for the Wildcats going forward. There was certainly talk about moral victory / what you take out of this game. I mean, I thought this was a good quote from Jake Diebler. He said, "The culture and foundation of our program stood firm today. We battled with great toughness. We played together. We were connected, and we handled adversity for the most part really well. I told our guys we coach in truth here, and the truth is we played hard. We were tough. We helped each other out. But the truth is we also didn't execute in the second half at the first level we did in the first half. Those are things we've got to own. I'm proud of the way this team fought and battled, and guys stepped up." As you might be able to hear, the leaf blowers are making their second pass through. They are coming this way, but they'll be a little bit further down away from me, so hopefully it won't be quite as jarring. Perhaps the last point that's worth really hammering in on here is that this was the third straight game of defensive improvement for Ohio State. Buckeyes are up to 59th nationally in adjusted defensive efficiency and 10th in the Big Ten, which might not necessarily sound like a lot, but they were flirting with the 80s defensively not too long ago. This is, I would say, at least a third straight game of really solid defense. I thought Ohio State was really dialed in against Virginia, certainly against Wisconsin, and now in this game here. So this is 3 straight games where Ohio State's held its opponent to 70, 69, and 66 points. But the Buckeyes are only 1-2 in those 3 games, which is a really tough pill to swallow. And certainly all 3 of those games, without John Mobley Jr., and this most recent one without John Mobley or Devin Royal. Ohio State now goes to Iowa and then hosts Purdue before ending the season at Penn State, which is where Bruce Thornton is currently tracking toward breaking Dennis Hopson's scoring record, and then home against Indiana. Iowa and Purdue both figure to be quad one opportunities. Indiana might be as well by the time we get to the end of the season, although the Boilermakers did kind of beat the brains out of the Hoosiers on Friday, so that could have an impact on that. But again, this was another strong defensive performance for Ohio State, that they were not able to mirror the really strong offense that we've seen in large stretches of the season with a really tough defensive performance. And only 4 games left, and we're still kind of waiting to see this all fit together, and we're still waiting to see we're waiting for this team to put consecutive games together like it did against Wisconsin. I think that's probably the most fully realized version of this team, just playing from start to finish, offensively and defensively. And today, Ohio State got one of those 2 sides of the floor, and an all-time type of performance from Bruce Thornton, and it's still a 6-point loss. So I think I'm gonna wrap this one up because the snow is outside, and I do need to get back, and it's loud in here, so I apologize for the audio on this. We'll be back. I'll be back with you Wednesday night, late Wednesday night. That's I think a 9:00 Eastern tip from Iowa City. I'm excited for that trip. Please send along some prayers to the travel gods. Those of you that have been following the program for a while know that Iowa City tends to be the one place I have the most issues getting both in and out of. So any thoughts and well wishes are appreciated along those lines. But yeah, interesting game. Heck of a game. Ohio State comes up short, and I think I've just spent this whole podcast really trying to decide how I feel about it. So that probably means you might be in the same boat. So feel free to reach out. Let me know what you think. I think to sum it all up, I think this team is playing some of its best basketball, but it still hasn't found a way to play consistently winning basketball this season. And that's becoming more and more critical as we now hit the last 4 games of the regular season. Time flies. So, as always, you can send along your questions, your comments, your love notes, your hate mail, and otherwise constructive criticism to me at Adam Jardy on Twitter or ajardydispatch.com. Thank you again for listening. Thanks, Patrick Flaherty, the Podfather, for putting in some time on a Sunday night and getting this out to all of you. I'll be back with you late Wednesday nights. Look for it Thursday morning from Iowa City. So until then, be kind, take care, and we'll talk soon.
Be sure and subscribe to the Buckeye Extra podcast in the iTunes Store, the Google Play Store, or on Stitcher.